let's go on to finance. So this question I'm asked a lot, because it seems to be that a lot of people that get into this subject then no longer have a desire to earn money, or to have a career, or to be successful at a career, or to get lots of money. So often their jobs change dramatically. Or the flow of money changed dramatically. This all falls away. So so thoughts or worries about money don't really come up here anymore. Obviously, we need food and money food and money. We need money to buy food and to do things. And that money needs to be earned. But there's a big difference between the separate entity needing and wanting money and the earning or getting of money. The second one, earning and getting money, that's just what happens. So this body, mind, does Skype sessions with people, or she works at a cafe, or I work at my cafe. And that's what happens. But there's no sense that there's not that constant anxiety going around. Like, I'm not comfortable in money. I'm not set up for life money-wise. There is a vulnerability here to money, but it's not seen as a vulnerability to money. In a way, this body-mind is dependent on money to carry on surviving. And if money stops, food stops, water stops, a secure house stops. But it's not feared. It's not, seen as vulnerable, even though physically it puts that body-mind in a situation. But you're not the body-mind. You're the watching, you're the beingness. And you can stay in the dynamic of being scared of money, or being scared that life won't provide money, and you will suffer. Believing that you need to protect and save this body. If it's the destiny of this body to starve to death, that is what is written. And there is no fighting or struggling or anything that can happen to stop that. Nothing. Nothing. Life will do exactly what it's meant to do, and there's nothing you can do to change or influence it or create it. I'm not saying give up your work, but just be aware, as long as you're caught in that dynamic of fear to money, there will be suffering. And the reason you fear money is because you believe you're a separate entity. You believe that you have to create it and do money. And we're taught so young, what are you going to be when you're older? What's your job going to be? How are you going to earn money? How are you going to support yourself? It's drummed in for so many years. People are so attached to this. Love and money. And this being's had lots of lessons around money. I talked about my ex-boyfriend, and he used to financially support me. It wasn't that way in the beginning, but then as the relationship progressed, that's what began to happen. And went through this process of fear around them and losing them and not having money and not being able to live and being vulnerable. But this isn't the truth at all. Came to a point here where it was like you can't control life. Any trying to control these situations, make yourself safe, is suffering. It comes and goes, money. I remember the point where I finally gave in and let him support me. And be vulnerable to that. Completely vulnerable to that. It was divine. Okay. So at any moment he can cut me off. It can be written into the story that he cuts me off. Living on the edge. So really what money is a fight for survival. You're not the body. You don't need to make the body survive. The beingness, the watching. And the body appears in that beingness and does its little dance, like the window and the tree. Believing that you can control money, or how money comes to this character, is like believing that you can control the wind. It just happens. The motivation appears to go and work, or it doesn't appear. The motivation appears to give up, or it doesn't appear. The motivation to live on the edge, to be supported with your partner, appears or doesn't appear. It's completely impersonal. Life takes you on this wild and crazy journey, like the feather blowing around in the wind. It takes here and here and here and here. And the fear is of feeling abandoned and desolate and out of control, but you're always out of control. The Buddha was homeless. He gave up everything. He came from royalty. He gave it all up. Put on a robe, took a begging bowl, shaved all his hair off, and walked the streets his whole life. Even when he became famous as the Buddha, he carried on walking the streets with nothing. And when he was hungry, he put his bowl out, and food appeared. And when he was thirsty, he put out his cup. I can tell you, he was more happy, relaxed, and at peace with life than all the billionaires that lived in his society. Let it come. What a relief. It's to walk out in the street with nothing. I'm hungry, and food comes. I'm thirsty, and water comes. What do you really need? I mean, come on, if you're in the Western country, you're never going to starve to death. It's all an imagination. This whole fear around money is an imagination. None of it has truth. Look at the Buddha's story. I don't know too much about Jesus, but I think he too was homeless. I think he just walked around the countryside and got food when he needed food and water when he needed water, but I don't think he had a home. I don't think he had money. I don't know much about Jesus, so what to say. And Ramana Maharshi left home and went and lived in a cave, or under the temple for years, and then in a cave people took him and brought him food and water. It's such a trapping, this whole finance. Love and money. I want love, I want money too. Two big sufferings. Create a lot of suffering, wars. I need to be safe, I need money. It's an imagination. It's not done by anyone. It's not you doing it, it's not you making the mistake. It's just the way it's written. Wow, you should see the wind. I can't remember how much they said I could have on YouTube. I'm not sure if it was under an hour or it was just endless. Endless recording time. Well, I've nearly done an hour. I've done all the questions. So today I spoke more relatively. Talked about the story. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's holding both of them. Being able to talk and look at the story, but knowing there is no time, no space. There is only ever just this. But also, the story plays out in just this. It's only ever playing out in this moment. Everything I said is now only a memory, which is appearing now. It didn't appear then, it appeared now. And even if you record me, that's still appearing again now. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to find. It's just this. Always, only, ever this. Ever. When you talk about the past and the future, or think about the past and the future, they're only ever happening now. And they're just as relevant because they're happening now. Just as relevant as the computer. Knowing that's all they are. It's thought bubbling up and falling away. Only ever this. which is absolute unknowing. Absolute aliveness, beingness, and loveness with itself. In loveness with what is. Only appears to be suffering, and there's a belief. And there's the sensation of a separate entity that is doing and controlling life. And that just bubbles up now, just in this thought, just in the sensation. It's not true. It's just a thought, just an arising. Anyway, much love to you. Thank you.